Joining us now to discuss is Republican Congressman Eric Burlison of Missouri. He sits on the DOGE Oversight Committee, which met today. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. Some of your colleagues on the committee called for Musk to testify before Congress. The billionaire said himself in the Oval Office yesterday that transparency is what builds trust. Would you like to see him come before lawmakers to outline what he's doing with DOGE?
I think that Elon is doing a great job. I think that I don't know that I would want to pull him away from the work that he's doing. As I understand it, him and his team are working all-nighters and bringing in sleep pods. But, you know, if he chooses that he can take time away, I'd be happy to meet with him. I'm sure everybody would.
Congressman, he did acknowledge that there could be missteps along the way with his work with DOGE. So I wonder what kind of oversight the DOGE caucus has on Musk and his associates, and whether you have any understanding of why, for example, they need access to some of these sensitive payment programs that keep the financial information of millions of Americans.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've requested is the Oversight Committee create a connection with the DOGE team so that we can fully understand everything that they're doing. These forensic audits are fascinating, and they're this is what the private sector does, but we've never seen this happen on the federal sector, and it's long overdue, which is why we're uncovering so much waste. But at the end of the day, I think it'd be helpful to understand how their process works, and be able to do some level of coordination. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this is not going to come to fruition unless Congress takes action. You're seeing the president being, taken to court. They're trying to express basically that he doesn't have the right to do these impoundments. And I don't know how that's going to shake out in the courts. But at the end of the day, we don't have time. The American people don't want to wait for years for something to be drug out through the court system. They want to see, all of these wasteful spending programs eliminated today.
That is such an important point, Congressman, because the executive, the White House, has multiple options. They don't just have to, in their eyes, appeal some of these decisions. President Trump could go to Congress and cut some of the funding that he wants to see cut by striking a deal with Democrats. But instead, DOGE, this sort of supra-governmental authority, which wasn't created by Congress, which supposedly serves in an advisory role, is trying to cut funding that Congress has already allocated. I wonder if you're comfortable with them doing that and appearing to supersede your own authority.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. I come from the state of Missouri. In fact, I think most states operate in that vein. I mean, where you make the appropriation and the governor has the discretion and the ability to live within that appropriation, however much they decide to do so. And so that is something that the American people are used to seeing. And as someone who's a fiscal hawk, if you're going to err on the side of anything, let's err on the side of less spending. Because look, we can't afford it. Almost $37 trillion in debt. We are at approaching a debt spiral. The EPIC think tank just recently came out with a report saying, obviously, Social Security goes bankrupt in 8 years, Medicare goes bankrupt in 10 years. We are going to enter a debt spiral at the current spending levels in 15 years, meaning that the dollar will basically, you think inflation is bad now, just wait until then. The dollar will be worthless.
It is obviously an important cause to eliminate waste, one that has bipartisan support. I do want to go back to something that we sort of touched on at the top. You argue that Musk is busy and working all-nighters. There are a lot of concerns about potential conflicts of interest because he's not only the richest man in the world, he has business with the U.S. government, contracts with the Pentagon, and also business overseas with the Chinese government. And yet he's not going to file something as simple as a financial disclosure that so many other folks that are so closely engaged with the work of government do. I wonder if you think he has an obligation to the American people to go before Congress to perhaps put a pause on that intense work that he's doing at the White House that you pointed out, to answer basic questions about any potential conflicts of interest. Do you think he has that obligation?
I don't know that it would be helpful. Look, you saw the rhetoric in the DOGE committee from the other side of the aisle, they used it for moments of grandstanding. It basically became a food fight. So I don't know that it would be helpful to do that, but I do think that coordinating with Congress is a great idea, and it's something that we should be working with him and his team to understand the inner workings of DOGE.
Should he file that financial disclosure?
I don't think that he needs to. Everybody knows where he gets his money. He's not a guy who is as rich as him is not benefiting by this position. He's sacrificing his time. He could be much more productive and make more money that would benefit him. At the end of the day, if he were to come in and start saying I'm gonna force the government to purchase Teslas, then I think we could probably the American people would obviously question something like that. But that's not happening.
To your point about Tesla, he's gutting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which oversees the loans that Tesla offers consumers. So in a sense, he is gutting an agency that helps consumers conduct against abusive business practices and regulates business that he does. Is that not a conflict of interest?
If he's doing something that benefits all businesses, in fact, I'll tell you, my brother, who's a banker, is cheering that on. You talk to anybody in the banking community, they're absolutely celebrating because they hate that program. So look, it's good. What's good for the goose, good for the gander. He is doing things that benefit the American people, and he happens to be an American citizen. So look, at the end of the day, he's trying to save this country because he loves it. We're all citizens of this country. I think we ought to welcome it. And I'll tell you, who better to lend time and effort to this, for free? I'll tell you, if you ask any governor of any state or any business, and you said Elon Musk would like to come in with his team of people and help find waste, fraud, and abuse within your organization or your state, there's not a single governor or executive that would turn that away, and that's why we should embrace it here in the United States.
Congressman Eric Burlison, you have a lot of faith in Elon Musk. We appreciate you sharing your time with us this afternoon. Thanks for sharing your perspective.
Thank you.